Good day, everybody. So I wanted to take a moment just to kind of do a quick demonstration of kind of the bare bones OpenCV screen capture or image capture and facial recognition example. It seems to be one of the more common things that's that everybody does. People want to make doorbells that pick up faces. And there's other sorts of image detection you can do. So you can very easily modify this sort of a program to do lots of things like license plate reading, etc. So this is just kind of like the absolute minimum that you need to get started on an OpenCV project. I did want to point out a few things before we get started here. I'm going to be using the PyCharm IDE. It really doesn't matter which IDE you're using. You're welcome to use any base interpreter, whatever comes with your version of Python. You can use Jupyter Notebook. That's a really popular one to use. Colab is my favorite alternative to using Jupyter Notebook because it just has everything ready to go, and I like it because I could be sitting on a train or something and pull out my phone and literally start to tinker around with programs and projects that I've had before. So it is nice to have that. It's not like this is the only one out there, but I do kind of think it's the best. The reason we won't be using it for this example, though, is because OpenCV has generally some instability issues I've noticed with Colab, and Colab knows this too, and they actually won't even let you run some of like the image show functions and things that we're going to be seeing in this project. And then they'll recommend that you use other alternative Google wrapper type of things, and it just is going to add an extra layer of complexity to it. I have made projects similar to this work in Colab just fine, but I wanted to give you a pure OpenCV example. So that said, here we are back into the PyCharm IDE. Step one is going to be we have to actually import the OpenCV packages. So we're going to use pip to do that. I'm going to use the built-in package manager here. It's pretty much the nicest package manager I've ever used for anything. I do all my dev through PyCharm usually if I'm doing any kind of a real project. So we're just going to bring in OpenCV here, and that's going to put it in our virtual environment, and we'll be good to go once this is downloaded. In advance of that, let's just start doing that. The import for it's going to be CV2, and we get this little default thing here. Let's change this to something that we would actually rather use. So OpenCV example refactor, do the refactor. We don't need no stinking arguments for this one. And there we go. Got us cleaned up a little bit here. So alright, we got OpenCV2 here. One of the first things that we're going to need to be doing is the screen capture. So capture the screen. To do this, I have a webcam just plugged in, so it's the only camera on my system, so it's going to be hardware 0. To do that, it's going to be cap equals, and we're going to do CV2 video capture, and we're just going to grab the first thing we see, and that should be my camera. If you had multiple cameras plugged in here, you'd need to pick the one that you wanted to use, but it's going to be an array starting at 0 basically, coming from the OS. We're going to need our classifier for this, and that's basically going to be the brains of this operation. it's going to be telling OpenCV what we want to capture, and each of these cascade classifiers are going to be trained differently for certain things. We're going to be using, I guess, just a regular frontal face detection. You know, you might want to use an ensemble of different things if you get into more advanced cases, but for the most part, you know, this is going to be fine for what we're doing here. So let's do face cascade equals CV2. Oh, can't talk and type at the same time. Oh well, that happens. Cascade classifier. And so there's these basically come in XML files. We should, if the import finished here, which it should have, see, we have OpenCV installed, so we should be able to find the classifier. Yeah, it's going to be in the data thing here. We want regular frontal, and now's a good time to actually take a look here that you can see some of the other options that you have for these HAR cascades. These have been, you know, basically trained, and like everything else with CV2, there's a huge amount of things out of the box that it allows you to do. I think as of the time of making this, there's something like 2,500 different models and you know, ML type of things you can use for all sorts of computer detection, from anything from handwriting, you know, object detection, people, speech rec, or well, not speech rec, it's OpenCV, but you get what I'm saying. A lot of this stuff is canned. We want frontal face. Is there frontal face default? We'll use this guy, and I'm just going to grab the path and absolute path. That'll work for now, and pop that bad boy in here. That needs to be a string. I think that's going to work for us here. So, alright, so we have our capture and we have our cascade. These are going to be two of the main things that we're using here. So, it's going to drive me crazy. Now, basically, once we have this done, we need to kind of set up something for the program to actually run. So let's just do a while loop forever, pretty much. While true. And coming down in here now, we need to actually get the image from the capture now. So basically, we got two arguments that come back from the read method, and that is basically, did it work, which is the first one. We're not even going to use that, so I just threw the underscore in there. You could have put that to be anything. And then capture.read. And that's that right there. So now that we have the image, so theoretically what should have happened here, we're capturing our video from our webcam. We're not even using the classifier yet. Now we're reading from the webcam into this basically rectangle image type thing. And now we need to do just a little bit of simple pre-processing on that. You know, humans like to see in color, computers not so much, especially when it's all we can do to, you know, pick up the edges and stuff. And that's basically what these HAR classifiers are doing, is, you know, they're trained for certain edge detection and you know, other vector metrics. So now we're going to, all right, we're basically going to be finding the faces here. So let's do faces. Let's grab our face cascade now, and we're gonna detect just regular multi-scale, and we're gonna gonna do gray. Well, I didn't even actually make the gray up yet, did I? That's gonna be the first thing we should do. So stepping back one more, we need to set basically the CV2 color that I talked about here, that computers don't like to pick things out in color that much unless they're looking for color. So let's just make gray. CV2 color. That'll work. We're going to pass in the image because obviously it needs something to pick from, and we're going to just basically grab one of the many colors of the not rainbow, I think here. What do we have? Color. I think that's probably going to be our guy right there. That'll work. At least it's definitely going to make the image much easier for the hard classifier to see now. So back down here, when we tell the cascade, we're going to be using this basically gray filtered version of the image here. So that's going to be gray, and I mean for the neighbors and all that stuff here. I don't want to get too into detail here for people. You're welcome to kind of dig into this more, but this should pretty much give us the right filter results back. And what this basically is going to be doing at this point is giving us the points where it's finding faces. So now we have to actually do something with that. Let's see what we got here. So faces, that's going to be giving us back, that's not even used there. It's basically just a bunch of XY coordinates. So we're going to be getting, what is this from? In face. We're going to be saying. So we're going to be getting the X and the Y for sure. That's going to be where the rectangle is, and then it's how big it is. So it's going to be height and width. So we get we're going to need to start where the X is plus the width, and where the Y is plus the height. And wait, no, we're going to do that down here. For now, we just need the height and the width. And then that's going to give us everything we need out of faces to actually start to pretty much paint these things onto the screen here, or get ready to at least. So CV2, and we're going to do the rectangle, and as you can see, these are the arguments that it's taken in here. So we're basically just going to be giving it the actual image, and then points 1 and 2, and basically the width and the height of how big it should be, which are going to be functions of, like I started drawing there in the for loop, starting at X and going to the width, and then starting at Y and going to the height. So first thing is the image. And what we're doing here, notice that we're actually just using the regular, pretty color image that's coming out of here, and then we're going to overlay on it the rectangle. So that's going to be the X and the Y where we want it, and then trying to do simple math while speaking. That's going to be the width, and then the Y. The height, duh. There we go. And then, what else do we need? We're gonna need color. and a few other things here. None. And I don't want to get overly complicated with all this stuff because it's really just supposed to be something for a beginner to get into this stuff. So, okay, what are we missing here? Always mashing up something. I think we've got an extra there. That could be it. Okay. All right, so that's going to be our rectangle that we're overlaying there. And okay, do I want to do this in here? No, we want to do it out here. And now it's pretty much just painting this onto the screen or telling it to show. So image show, and for the record, this seems to be one of the things that usually breaks the Colab examples, and that's kind of why I'm not doing this right here, is why it's not being done in Colab right now. Like I said, I've done this many times in Colab, and you can work around it, but in my opinion you shouldn't really have to. I wish they'd fix it. When I say they, I pretty much mean people like me, but or you're welcome to fix it too. There's only so many hours in the day, and I feel like these things never run on the first try, and it's usually because of stuff like this. So now we have to basically do the wait key for it. So wait key. I'll give it a little bit more, 30 milliseconds. And this is just because the OS is pulling a different thread rate. We want to make sure that we're catching it. We don't want the program to be oversampling the hardware or vice versa, so we're missing things or causing other instabilities, or just not having the basically the desired effect. Breakpoint, no, just break, bro. Sometimes I'm coding in my head and not typing the same as I'm thinking, and I think if for some reason anything runs off here, we're just going to do the capture release, and this might actually work. I don't see any errors here. That's usually the things that mess you up is not having file paths correct. I copied this, it should be right. We got this here, 1, 2, 3. That looks right. I think that's right. We don't even need those, it's just going to be basically blue. And alright, let's run it and see what happens here. Unterminated literal. Where's that at? Oh. That'll do it. Always something. Escapes. Why is it complaining about that? That's strange. Did I copy something weird there? well, I do know that I can find that path for sure on here. Like I said, those are always the issue. It's those stupid I'm sure I have a version of that XML line around here somewhere. So I actually have the OpenCV project on my machine. Just for the sake of the video here, I don't want to drag this out too much. I'm not any kind of major editor, so we'll keep this here. Pretty much just doing this all live. I'm also kind of a rookie to this stuff. What are we complaining about now? OpenCV exe. That seems pretty legit to me. What's it saying here? Demo slicing. Why is everything always got to be a pain in the butt? Anonymous namespace. That's probably a very similar issue to what I had before here. So looking at this up here, I grabbed the wrong color. So we need there we go. I'm not sure why they gave me the namespace issue. It's probably just not in there right now. Hey. Alright, and as you can see, that fixed it. So you hit some bugs, you got to work your way through it. I will say, so we're using the full frontal face one here, and if I even just cover up half my face, it's going to have a hard time detecting it. You can get false positives from other things. If I held up a picture right now, it would do it. You can see it's even picking up my hand for a second. It doesn't, and you can see it's doing it many times a second. So right now I kind of have it fooled. Apparently that's what it thinks a face looks like. That matches the criteria. But you can also tell that it's getting false positives and false negatives, or I guess false positives, and then accurate negatives based on just very subtle little motions there. So it's it's pretty cool. It's an easy program to get set up, and you can do a lot of stuff with it. And this is basically going to be all you need to get the to acquire your video hardware using CV2, to start to filter it and do a little bit of pre-processing. There's a lot. There's infinite possibilities of how you can pre-process and use different filters, and then the things you can do with it. Like right now I could be, maybe this is a security camera that's scanning me in, and it's just going to find my face, take a picture of it, and then do a way more in-depth analysis of matching it with my face, kind of similar to how an iPhone does does like the facial recognition. And it just goes on and on, the stuff you can do with this. And this is just scratching the surface of how to get the project installed, get OpenCV2 on your machine, start getting your hardware, using it, and start to do something with it. And it's just a real bare bones approach here to to show you how to start using some machine learning types of techniques. So, my name is James Bonant. I hope you enjoyed this today. This is the real internet.